We're currently out in Lanzarote and Andy has got some training to do for a 10K that he's got coming up. So we thought, what better place than here to tell you all the tips you need to run a 10K PB.
So I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of Sarah whilst I head out training, and you'll catch up with me in a minute. Okay?
Have fun! The first thing to consider though is, what is your current level of fitness? Have you been running consistently and so you've got a good base level that you can build upon to start training for a 10K PB? Or have you recently taken a break from running due to injury, illness, or just time restraints, and so you need to build up in order to tackle a 10K PB attempt?
I'm training for a 10K in the UK at the moment, but before I started this block of training, I'd actually had a bit of a break where I was still running, but just not as much as I was used to. So I needed to build up sensibly back to the level, both of mileage and intensity, that I needed to sustain throughout the training for this 10K. And you should think about being sensible too. So if you're looking to step up the number of days that you train in order to hit a better time, or if you're looking to run further, or just to try and run harder and step the pace up, be sensible and build up to that new level of intensity and volume.
Our next tip is to work out your numbers. You know what your current level of fitness is, but what is your target final 10K time? What's your current 10K PB versus what you want your final time to be? Are you going to be shaving off minutes, or are you going to be shaving off seconds? Once you know this, then you can work out your target pace for the final 10K and you can start to practice and train at that pace. Also, there are lots of things to help you out on race day as well. Once you get used to this pace, it will feel easier, or you could use stuff like Garmin Pace Pro in order to help you out come race day.
So Sarah's left it to me to crunch the numbers, but before I do that, a quick top tip, which is if you're going to use a smartwatch, GPS watch, to measure your pace whilst you're running, set it to auto lap, so every 1 kilometre or 1 mile, depending on what you want to measure in, and then set it to view in lap pace, so not live pace. I think lap pace is way easier to monitor the pace that you're running at because it won't jump around so much. So now jumping in, if you have particularly lofty aspirations, a 3-minute kilometre pace, which is a 4:49 mile, will give you a 30-minute 10K. 4 minutes per kilometre, or 6:26 per mile, is a 40-minute 10K, and I won't run through them all now, but if you're running 6 minutes per kilometre, that's 9:39, that gives you a 1 hour 10K. And defining this 10K pace leads us really nicely into Sarah's next point, which is allowing you to work out the paces either side of 10K pace.
Just because you know what race pace is though, doesn't mean you should be doing every single run in your training block at that pace. You need a little bit of variation, not only to keep things interesting for you, but also to enable and ensure that you hit that target pace come race day. You need to start training above, below, and on target pace and get some variation in your training. Now, I know Andy's out for a run, but I think he can multitask. He's going to take you through some key workouts that you should be doing to hit your 10K PB.
The right interval workouts can make a massive difference to how fast you're going to be able to run that 10K, and we've got a few different videos dedicated to exactly this, both specifically for 10K and our regular workout of the month series, where you can see a workout from start to finish and get a feel for what it'd be really like to do it. So diving straight in, workout number 1 that I'd like you to consider is running a combination of tempo and hills. So starting off with a 10-minute effort at half marathon or tempo pace, a short recovery, and then heading into 8 to 10 30-second hill efforts, hard uphill, more recovery, and then another 10-minute tempo effort. The hard bit here is recovering after the hills and clearing out all that lactate that will accumulate during those hard efforts. Workout number 2 is a staple of my 10K training, and it doesn't matter here how fast you're running because you'll still be running for the same amount of time. And it's 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute times 2. Those are the hard efforts, with 1 minute recovery in between where you're still jogging so you don't get to stop, and the pace cuts down as the intervals cut down, so starting at around half marathon pace and ultimately getting down to around 5K pace for those 1 minute efforts. And then the final workout, again another staple here, is a race pace workout, so starting with 3 times a mile at your 10K race pace with 3 minutes recovery, but ultimately looking to, over the course of a few weeks or months, bring this down to a shorter recovery and more reps. So looking to go towards 6 times 1 mile at 10K pace, that's very close to 10K in distance, and taking a recovery of maybe only 90 seconds as you get fitter and more used to it.
So it's also super important to practice race pace, especially before race day. This means that you're going to be less reliant on your watch, a pacer, or someone running alongside you on the day, and it's going to feel so much better. It's also worth considering practicing race conditions beforehand. What's the elevation, the climate? Do you know the course? Especially if it's locally to you, you might want to go out and do a bit of a recce beforehand so that you know what to expect. I wonder though if Andy's considered this, because he's running a 10k in the UK and he's come to Lanzarote to do his training. Bit weird, right?
Oi, I heard that. Less sarcasm, more useful training advice, please.
Right, sorry, onto some FAQs. First up, 10k training plans. Are they actually necessary? Well, it might not be a half marathon or a marathon, but training plans are super important for a 10k, and you need some bespoke training, especially if you're going for a new PB. There are lots of training plans available online, or you could speak to a coach, your friends, or just ask some other running buddies online to give you some training tips.
So in terms of my training week, I've been trying to run 4 days a week on average, and that's roughly broken down into one easy run that's fairly short, an interval session like the ones we've taken you through, a threshold run, so for me that's 4 to 6 miles at slightly quicker than my half marathon pace, and then a longer run, so 60 to 90 minutes, somewhere in that region. And then in terms of easy weeks and hard weeks, I'd look to take every 4th week or so slightly easier, maybe the same number of runs and same volume, but just reducing the intensity. Then as it comes to the end of the training plan towards the race itself, the last 4 or 5 days are a little bit easy with lower volume and lower intensity.
Next question is, if you don't already have a 10k time or you've never run a 10k before, what should your target PB time be? Well, there are lots of different tools online out there to help you estimate what your 10k target time should be, or there's also a very interesting equation by Peter Rigel. I'm not going to try and explain it, it's going to pop up on the screen. You could give that a go as well.
Head down to your local park run or find a 5k where you can go down and give it a good solid effort to give you a good gauge of your 5k pace, and that might help you to set an accurate 10k prediction. Or chat to the other people around at that park run or 5k which you're running closely with to see what they've run previously, which might give you a good idea. Do a bit of research on Strava or speaking to runners or running clubs that you know. There'll be plenty of people who are able to give you advice, but ultimately try to set a realistic prediction that's not going to set you up for a fall. So in my training, I've been trying to average around 4 runs per week, broken down roughly into one easy, shorter run, one longer run, so for me that's anything from 60 to 90 minutes, an intervals workout like we've just taken you through earlier in this video, and one threshold run, so something around 4 to 6 miles solidly at my threshold or tempo effort, so slightly quicker than half marathon with no recovery, just to get used to strong aerobic effort.
So next question is, how do you keep training whilst you're on holiday? See what we did there? Well, if you are going away and you want to keep up your training, then there are a few things to consider. Firstly, the climate and the weather. Wear lighter layers and brighter colours. Also the humidity, it's harder to sweat in humid conditions, and also think about fueling as well. Actually, I wonder if Andy's considered any of those things. Andy, how are you feeling right now? No? Okay, well, have we helped with your 10k PB attempt, or have you got any other questions or suggestions or tips for us? Let us know in the comments down below.
And if you have liked the video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the running channel. Good luck in your 10k PB attempt, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.